Yes, it's me again with my whiteboard. I know you guys are probably gonna get sick of seeing this whiteboard throughout the challenge, but it keeps me on task, keeps my ADHD from going all over the place. But just wanted to cover a couple things I've been hearing some questions about in the studio as we've started off this first week of the challenge, which today's Wednesday. Sounds like everybody's doing fairly well. So I'm really excited about that and glad to hear that, but continue to come with us to your coaches with questions, guys. First off, I want to cover over macro percentages. One, remember if we were in the orientation, we talked about the macro percentages when you looked at MyFitnessPal. Don't look at them. Remember, only look at nutrients. Nutrients are going to let you know how much protein, fat, and carbs you get, how many you've had for that day, how many you have left, or if you've exceeded or gone over. So remember, your percentages are going to change each meal depending on what you eat. Some meals are going to be higher in carbs. Like for instance, for me, as I was explaining in the video yesterday, I keep my carbs fairly low throughout the day and then save them for the evening. So if you look at my breakfast, lunch, my mid-afternoon snack before I've had dinner, if you look at my percentages, my carbs are like 5%. My fats are like 60%, and my protein makes up the rest of it. Well, then when I sit down at dinner tonight, I'm actually going to have a pretty large serving of a baked sweet potato with it. So then, therefore, it'll shift out my percentages a little more. Also, your percentages are based off your max number of your macros. So we're never going to hit exactly 25, 35, and 45%. They're always going to be different a little bit. So that brings me to my next point is reaching your macros. So when you look on that nutrient list, the protein, fat, and carbs are just going to tell you how many you get. That is your max number. As long as you're below that, you're fine. This is week 1 of a 6-week caloric deficit challenge when it comes down to it. So our calories and our macros are going to get a little bit lower and a little bit lower each week as long as you progress. So don't freak out if you're not getting all the way to the numbers. As long as you're within that 20, 30 gram mark, protein is probably going to be the hardest to hit, which I'm going to get into. But as long as you're within that and you're not exceeding over it, don't freak out about it. But that brings me to my next point, protein, guys. That is the number we do want to get close to. That's what's going to preserve our lean muscle tissue. So with that, the metabolism picks up and has to support muscle. Therefore, we don't want to lose it. So if we actually drop our calories too much, the body will go into starvation mode and start actually trying to kind of eat and convert muscle into energy, and we don't want to lose that because we want to keep the metabolism high. So therefore, we preserve it when we drop our calories by keeping our protein fairly high. Now again, if you're within 20 to 30 grams of your overall goal, you're going to be okay. One thing I can recommend is if you sit down and you have a serving of, let's say, chicken, fish, beef, whatever it may be, if you typically eat 4 ounces, maybe try to shoot for 5. Eat your protein first when you eat, and then eat the rest of your carbohydrates, fat, vegetables. Eat the protein first, get that in if you struggle with getting. Now again, if you're within 20, 30 grams, not a big deal. If you're within 50 to 60 grams, we need to make up some room there. So that's something I can recommend doing. 2, I recommend whey protein and isolate. Now again, if you have a different brand that you're using, use through it, that's fine. But the reason I recommend the isolate, it's easy to digest, but your body absorbs it really well and it does not sit heavy in the stomach. So therefore, if you're really struggling with your protein intake or you want to get to that protein goal, a whey protein isolate breaks down in water even easily. So say for a serving of protein, you typically have like 8 ounces of water. A whey isolate, which is what we carry, you can actually take in about 3 to 4 ounces of water. It is a touch thicker, but it's super palatable. It doesn't take as much room in the stomach. So if you're really struggling meeting those grams of protein throughout your day, try something like that. Take half a scoop in the mid-afternoon. Take half a scoop in the evening or morning. Spread it out throughout the day, and it's a quick, simple, easy way to get good quality protein in if you find yourself falling short. So I hope that guys helped answer some questions again with the percentages being all over the place. Don't worry about the percentages. Focus in on the nutrient board on MyFitnessPal, making sure you're not exceeding those numbers. As long as you're under them, you're going to be fine, just as long as you're not drastically under protein, and then finding those protein sources for those that are struggling with it, okay? Hope this helped, and keep the questions coming, guys, as we get through this first week.